Um, it's late, and I keep just going over this stuff. And it's all quite exciting at the moment because of Mamdani and his victory 3 days ago, 4 days ago. And what's so weird is the negatives. I'll get into that later on, but it's so funny, and it's so tied up with belief in God. The classes, the real ones, inherited aristocracies and all their dimensions, all the way to the serfs. A belief that when I look into the eyes of another creature, I am looking at something either superior or inferior to me. That's how we order our lives. And that the superior deserves more stuff, deserves as in merits. Evidence of merit, cough. More security, health, good food and comfort in housing and transportation. Whatever our beliefs, our fantasies, this is how they manifest. I'm not here to judge, just identify. I have a judgment. I don't value those things. But my judgment is useless. That's not the point. I can just go somewhere else. New York City, for instance, provides much for me that is free or cheap, so I can stay away from the wealthy. The problem for the wealthy is they cannot avoid the poor. Poor dears. Somewhere we developed a value. I was thinking this on the lovely bus ride home, the bus ride that de-stresses my journey into the city and out of, a value that has almost no value. Status. I use the term loosely because I never use it. Doesn't occur. I don't know what it means beyond a sort of schoolyard sense of success. How do I seem to others? I need to know. I have found that middle to upper class, college educated persons have very little to do with distrust of, and when pushed or slightly threatened, marginalize working class people, other people, and seem to be preoccupied with a whole range of stuff I'm not. I mean, service industry makers of things with hands type people, picking up garbage, car washing, busboy type people. Not everyone disdains them, not outside in the streets, but it is always there. Non-bright, like me, unfortunate or lazy. It is a predisposition and it is natural. This disposition is natural to our culture. We measure our sense of self, or are commanded to, culturally, on where the culture and the magazines place us on the ladder. You, feel a great need to feel this way about others. We have entire religions centered on this belief. Some of us are primed when the question is asked, what do you think or how do you feel about this or that, to answer. The crucial thing to ask is, do we really say what we think? Or more usefully, feel? Or do we just feel more comfortable saying something we have been educated to know will be approved of? Ask yourself. I say this because it is the bias that dare not breathe its name, the hatred the blue-collar or church-going lot may have for the affluent if student loan burdened gets not much but solid play. Not because it doesn't happen much, not much because it doesn't happen much. I think there is a sense of otherness. Glenn Beck sees the Islamic people as frustrated because they don't have what we have. It's just extraordinary narcissism. Isn't this what we do? Does the NASCAR fan allow that some people like going to the symphony? I knew a few who were opera fans. I did an adaptation of The Bacchae in a blue-collar red town in Georgia 20 years ago. My neighbors were kind, but said seriously they didn't understand it, but their priest did. He just lit up at it. I think Beck is wrong. I know he's wrong. I think NASCAR fans are enjoying themselves so much they don't care who frowns upon them. That some of them, Also, take in La Boheme. Sounds pretty much rounded to me, but not a mark of anything. 'Twas in another lifetime there I learned about George Jones. There's a definite mistrust that builds up into the hatreds around some issues, which is a great shame and is the actual threat to democracy we speak of so much these days. The right-wing bloggers and Fox lot maintain a steady sneer. We experience, anecdotal, a derision only an intellectual could coin, that I have been inside the MAGA world and been uncompromised. Long conversations were had, usually foundering on the rock that is Jesus, about whom we differed, but no one was hated. Despite my being off the chart, unless that is the reason. It's the great schism, unavoidable, I guess, that seems to exist everywhere, but that doesn't make it good, and has led to a fascism that always waits for peoples with naturally authoritarian beliefs. Monotheists. An educated person, it is thought, doesn't just rise above modest roots, but rises above themselves. That's the myth. Becomes a better person than they were as a child. They think before they were educated. They think they are told. I remember I was told, this is a staple belief where I lived, that the uneducated person is a child who hasn't graduated, who isn't fully realized. I disagree completely. It is a tenet to be improved by effort. This is what our cultures believe. There must be some truth in it, but not much. The terrific writer on Substack said this about the Iran-US-Israel almost war, that the Western side were behaving like children, that they are children. In their highly trained, indoctrinated state, they are children, and it feels that way to me. Something is missing, and the conclusion I must draw from the leadership of the Western world is that they are highly educated to this immaturity. When I was a child being told, I had a very distinct and overwhelming response. As I remember it, I had a life hallucinatory, long into adulthood. Still do. I'm pretty sure this is a child reality. The world is visceral, and we are brought up into a rational and cerebral relationship to it. I grasped eventually that the conventional map was possible, and there were rewards offered for the effort, but something else reassured me that the real joys of existence are not there. It feels sort of Wordsworth's Sermon on the Mount, the prelude, the great long orgiastic rushes about the woods and mankind, and he, and so I, would run headlong, starry-eyed and laughing into the arguments of machinery, logic, jealousy, inadequacy, and war, or Glenn Beck's grievance, and religion, so desperate. Religion is a playing field for me because God seems like a shortcut for the spiritual. After all, one is easier than many. It decomplicates our understanding of the variety of self. The life of the slave is much simpler than the free. And seeing the huge energies and study that surrounds religion and its familiars like psychology, I think that all I have done is reject the one in favor of the many, which makes maybe belief a lighter notion, a sensation, impulse or intuition not available in books, or books of rules or examples. Maybe like when you read a book, then see the film. I don't think the movie's wrong as much as evidence that we read the books individually. I am glad that most people agree Cary Grant was a wonderful performer in movies, but I'll not do my religion so.